Welcome to Cut the BS with Holly and Rachel.
We are here to help you ditch the overwhelm, stop second guessing, and reconnect with what truly fuels your body, your mind, and your life.
No fluff, no filters, just real talk that helps you feel strong, aligned, and unstoppable. Whether you're on a walk, commuting, or sipping your favorite matcha, this is your space.
Welcome back to another episode of Cut the BS with Holly and Rachel. I'm Holly, aka Holly Ramsey, aka Holly. And with me is my lovely co-host,
Rachel, aka Ray Ray, aka Bon.
I feel like we did that backwards and I was like still waiting for Ray Ray for some reason.
I don't know.
I don't know. It feels like it's been a long time, but we're back. And today, we're just kind of going off of our dome, if we can be honest with you guys. We have a plan. We want to share our experiences currently, previously, on how we live a healthy lifestyle and integrate it into our lifestyle. It's not the glitz and the glam. You know, we're kind of going to get into like the doing it despite not wanting to do it part of the healthy lifestyle.
Amen.
Dare I say 95% of the time, I don't want to do the healthy lifestyle thing, but I know I need to do it.
Amen to that. And you know what, Holly? I know that we spoke earlier. What better week for us to talk about how we balance health and wellness into our lifing type of life than this week when both of our lives are indeed lifing. And I don't know about you, but I just suffered 5 Mondays in a row. Thank God it's Friday. So we can really get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody says that January is forever long. To them, like it just feels like an extended month. To me, that is February. February has been insane. We're hoping for a lighter March. I think both of us are. Will it happen? Who knows? Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. I don't feel like February has lasted like I feel like the weeks themselves, like if you just put the week in and of itself have been long. But the
Yeah.
month of February is definitely not as long as January. January lasted 4 to 6 months.
That is crazy.
Literally. Ugh, get out of here. Get me out. Get me out of here. I'm running away.
Yeah, literally, we have been in the trenches. And yet, despite it all, we've found ways to continue to prioritize our health and our wellness. And like, that's really our end goal with this specific episode is for you guys to leave feeling like, okay, here's how I can integrate this into my lifestyle a little bit more. And again, we might lead slightly different lifestyles than you, but I promise, if we can do it, I promise there's a way that you can also integrate it into your life.
Yes. And like we're here to basically like Holly said, we want to encourage you to feel like you can do it because you can. And you know, I can speak for myself when I say that I make it work, but it is quite literally a shit show most of the time. And mind you, I don't even have kids. Like, I'm not even in charge of other human beings.
Yeah. But with that, I will say previous versions of myself have worked a whole lot less and also felt like, oh my God, I can't imagine taking on any more and still making this work.
Mm-hmm.
And yet look at us today taking on more. And you figure out a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I say a lot of times, you know, people ask me, like, for social purposes, like, what's your schedule? Like, what's your work schedule? I make my own schedule, you know? Like, I actually have a lot of autonomy. I'm very blessed in that way with my full-time job and with my life in general. Like, I have a lot of autonomy with my schedule. And yet, here we are with a very busy schedule with a lot of things on said schedule and a lot of running around. And I guess I can blame that on the fact that I enjoy my job and I enjoy my lifestyle. I feel very blessed. And so there's some positives. Um, Maybe I should just schedule a break every now and then, a breather, if you will.
I told you Saturday and most of Sunday, rot day. We're planning it. You have to plan your rot days for sure. And they're earned, you know? I mean, the week from hell for real for me. So I will enjoy that rot day. But let's get into it, shall we?
We so shall. So, what we mean when it comes to living the healthy lifestyle, that is a relative term, right? But I think, Holly, I can speak for us both when I say that what we mean by that is as individuals who lift weights, who move their body consistently, who fuel their bodies well, I would say 98% of the time. Um, and we're people that, a healthy lifestyle to us is is a lifestyle where we do all the things we have to do, right? We work the job, we pay the bills, we do the things, but we're additionally pouring into ourselves as well, even on the crazy weeks like we both had this week, with the exercise, with the nutrition. Because a lot of people, I mean, I don't know about you, I know we both, deal with clients day to day, but I hear a lot, it's easy to make excuses. Like we all have excuses of I don't have time or this is my schedule from here to here. Like I can't XYZ. And while I will acknowledge the fact that there are people's schedules who are busier than mine and people whose lifestyles are crazier than mine and all of that, I've made it a point to never say I don't have time. It's I'm not making time for that.
Yeah, for sure. Because, you make time for the things that matter. And, we don't know everyone's circumstances, right? But what I do know is that a lot of people say they don't have time that I talk to. And when they say they don't have time, okay, well, describe your, you know, 5 to 9 after work. I go home, I cook dinner, and then by the time I sit down, I just don't want to get up.
Yeah.
Right. So
I
you're
mean, same,
tired and you're
honestly.
exhausted. It's not that you don't have time. They're two different things we're working with, right? And I think something we have to be extremely clear on, Rachel, before we really dive into the episode is we are not saying that we have the same 24 hours as anyone else. You and I, our 24 hours are made up completely differently. And so, what those are going to look like and the things that have to be done, it's going to be so different. And that's why, like, what does living a healthy lifestyle look like to you is such an important question to answer in the beginning stages of your journey so that you can then align yourself and your priorities with those few things. And that's also why we preach small changes and not trying to make drastic lifestyle changes when you're just starting. Because, of course, you don't have time to go to the gym for an hour and a half 6 out of 7 days of the week when you also have kids to take care of and to transport to different things and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. And we really promote starting small, like you said. We promote habit stacking, and like I have clients that are moms. I know, like with myself, I even have had to habit stack. That starting small is good because you're just focusing on one thing at a time. We're not adding in a billion things. Obviously, we don't promote that. If you've listened to any of our episodes, you probably know that. Um, One thing at a time, whether it's I'm gonna reach my step goal today or I'm gonna drink more water today. And we'll really kind of get into, what healthy looks like to us, what we encourage everyone to try to incorporate as we kind of go throughout this episode. Um, so, Polly, I want to ask you a question. And I know that, again, many aspects to a healthy lifestyle. Let's start off with the biggie because we know that what takes the most time, at least in my experience, is food. We got to eat every day, apparently. multiple times a day,
multiple
even.
times. Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about your routine of what that looks like when it comes to you preparing food, eating healthy.
Yeah. So it really looks different for me week to week because my work schedule changes week to week. A lot of times it's going to be things like, you know, pre-thinking about my dinners because that's not something I want to think about after a very long day. Um, so pre-planning some dinners is the most important, I think, for me. When the decision is already made, I'm a lot more likely to make the right decision. And then also, I just love to have easy grab and go protein options. One of my staples is these chicken meatballs from Costco and their basil pesto meatballs. They're fire, so
Emmylou,
easy. Yes. Do you have them?
I've bought them before. They have a couple different flavors. But
Yeah.
yes, Emmylou is a nice little easy.
Yes. Amy Lou is a staple in this house between the chicken sausage and like the breakfast ones, the chicken meatballs, you name it, we love us some Amy Lou for sure. Um, because it's easy to cut up, add into like anything, like easy things like that. And I sent you this week, we found a bag of like frozen sweet potatoes and just several other veggies, things like that. Like frozen foods are not less nutritious. So, like incorporating those when needed. I don't do a lot of traditional meal planning or meal prepping, or I used to do a lot of ingredient prepping. So, I would cook a couple proteins, a couple veggies, and that worked really well when I was going into an office setting. But nowadays, that just doesn't really suit me. That's not honestly what I want to do. What I do on Sundays, the only prep is really my breakfast. So I'm almost always going to make either little sausage McGriddle muffins or some sort of like breakfast casserole or some like granola bars, like just homemade granola bars if I have the time and if I want to, because you can also just buy those. But primarily what I'm prepping is going to be my breakfast because if not, I 9 out of 10 times will skip breakfast if it's not easy and ready to go. That's for sure.
Fair.
And then last thing I'll say is I also really enjoy having overnight oats at some point in my day. Sometimes it's like before my workout, sometimes it's as a lunch. So almost every single night I prep myself overnight oats. I could make my life easier and prep those on a Sunday for a few days, but I'm in a groove with doing it every single night. I clean up the kitchen after dinner and then I make my oats and then it's time to hit the hay. But that's how I approach meals. I really just try to keep things on hand. I try to prep and plan and then prepping my breakfast on Sundays so that I have that for throughout the week.
So I think a big piece for both of us is like the preparation, like the thought, like think about it before it's time.
Mhm.
Because there are times where maybe I do prep meals because I do go on site most days and have lunch there, and I'm not gonna eat in the cafeteria. That's for sure. Um, and maybe I only do 3 days, and then maybe we just have to kind of figure it out Thursday and Thursday and Friday because maybe I just didn't make enough or I didn't want to eat the same thing for 5 days.
Yeah.
Uh, but the thinking about it ahead of time, I think, is really good because, like, I know that everyone can relate to the fact of it's dinner time, it's 5, 6, 7 p.m., whatever time you eat dinner. What are we going to do for dinner? How many
Yeah.
times is that question asked today? Probably a kabillion times because I know it's said a lot in my household and, whether it be dinner, lunch, whatever it is. So if you're just thinking about it ahead of time, make the decision and stick with it, usually things are going to pan out a little bit better. Um, I know with like my prepping, we usually grocery shop on Saturday or Sunday. Um, Me and my husband tag team prepping because some weekends I just really cannot even. Um, And then there are some weeks where we'll just make extra dinner and take the extra for lunch the next day. That's an option for people. If that's something that you can do, have it for dinner and then have it for lunch the next day. If it's really good, it's pretty easy.
I was gonna say that's probably our like number one go-to is just double batching dinner to feed us the next day.
Yeah. I mean, and I think too, and I saw this on Instagram Reels. When you're really honing in on eating healthy, really honing in on like being in a calorie deficit, maintaining whatever it is, the easiest way to do it is just to eat the same stuff over and over
Yeah.
again. And while I know that can get monotonous, maybe you have like 6 or 7, favorites and you just rotate them. Most people that are in the space of a calorie deficit, of bulking, of like whatever it is, that's what they're doing. Because who has
Yeah.
the time to have a brand new kind of meal for every day? That's 365 brand new meals a year. Like I can
Yeah.
barely think of 3. So
And if you know how complicated tracking is, you get why repetition is amazing.
just rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
I am cutting again. I took a 4-month break, and so my husband and we usually cycle together with like whether we're cutting, bulking, maintaining, whatever, because it's more peaceful at our house if we do it that way. Because if he was just eating whatever and I was cutting, I would be so angry all the time. But tracking is very complicated. So rotating the same stuff, it's easiest. You can spice it up or switch it up with maybe some different like sauce combinations. I always recommend homemade sauces because you know it's in them and you can control a little bit more of what's in them. But like I said, we grocery shop on Saturday, Sunday. Usually I'll do 2 different variations of a lunch because I prep our lunches. Like we cook dinner at night, and for breakfast we're kind of on our own. But for lunches, that's like really the main thing. So I'll usually prep 2 variations, whether it's my Korean beef recipe, which is a staple that I love, 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 or sometimes I'll do like a different flavored marinade for chicken thighs, and then I'll have kale and throw it on the grill. Or, you know, there are a couple other things in our bag that we like to play with. So I'll make those 2. I've tried it where I do a different meal for every day of the week, and I 10 out of 10 don't recommend because now I'm fixing 5 different meals and like in one day. And
That's a
it's
lot.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, I learned that the hard way. So if you're thinking of meal prepping, don't do it that way. There have been weeks where things are nuts and I just prep ingredients and put them in a big old container and shove it in the fridge. And then night before I divvy out, and then, we're good for the next day. But it does take some thought ahead of time, like we all make our own grocery lists. So when you're doing that, think about, okay, what am I going to have for this grocery run? Like, how long is this going to last me? We usually do it 1 to 2 weeks, usually a week. And then we make sure we have all the things. You can also pre-prep dinner, throw things in a big baggie if you're in a marinade, if you're doing whatever, and then you just throw it in. I know that I've been trying to incorporate the crock pot more because what have I been doing my whole life? I can just throw it in there and leave it for 4 hours and it's super tender and I know what's in it. I can track it easily and go on about my day.
Yeah.
So there's so many options. A lot of people prefer, prepping ingredients. Some people prefer prepping the actual meals. It's really each their own. Some people prefer a meal prep company. If that's you, great. I
Yeah.
could really justify it financially. Oh, not the Ramsey coming out. But, that's just kind of how we do it. I think another big piece of it too is going to be the knowledge to know what do I need to eat to fuel my body efficiently, properly? Because not
Yes.
everybody knows. And like, honestly, like I'm still learning a lot about foods that are like good. Like, ooh, like that needs to go in our bag. Like sweet potatoes recently, we have been literally doing the most with sweet potatoes, like every day. I almost think because they're sweet, I feel like I'm having a dessert. Am I okay?
I think you're gaslighting yourself, Rachel.
Am I okay? It's unclear.
No, I think I personally love sweet potatoes because you can go that route. I think it depends what you're seasoning them with. Like if you guys are putting like paprika and like all that kind of stuff on it, I think we're
No.
gaslighting ourselves that it's a sweet treat.
No, when I tell you that we're so boring that I'll wrap up like 3 or 4, throw them in the oven for an hour, and keep like the leftover sweet potatoes in the aluminum foil already in the fridge. I've been testing out some like little healthy-ish desserts with sweet potatoes, but like they're little desserts you can make with sweet potatoes as a base, and I'm here for it.
Keep us updated.
Yeah.
There's nothing more I love than a sweet potato bowl with some quinoa and like either ground turkey or chicken, really anything, some arugula. It screams spring to me. I think I'm going to put that on the menu for next week, actually.
And I just want to make a statement that I had been trying to get Kalen on sweet potatoes and ground beef for a while.
Yeah.
And he was always like, I don't want to try that. Like he was so against it. And now that we've been incorporating it, he's like, this is the best thing ever. Like there's nothing which again, like, are we well? You can tell we're in a cut by the things that we say.
Right.
But he's like, oh, there's just nothing like ground beef and sweet potatoes. And I'm like, you were hating for the longest. Okay. And
Telling
if
you.
you would just listen to me from the get go, you're welcome.
Sometimes I think it's a boy thing to like refuse to acknowledge that we're onto things.
Yeah.
Also, this
Yes,
is a
I
hot take,
agree.
and I know I'm going to get hate, okay? No public shaming on this, please. Thank you. There is something about a sweet potato, ground beef, a veg, are we ready, and cottage cheese. Bury me with that meal. Something about the hot element of the sweet potatoes and the ground beef and then the cold of the cottage cheese just really does it for me.
Right. Right.
You're so far from
I,
agreeing, but trust me,
I,
if you
no,
don't
this
like
is,
cottage cheese, it's not going to be good, guys,
I was
okay?
going to say, I don't. So this is the thing. I'm okay with the taste of cottage cheese. It's the curds in cottage cheese that I really, and when I say really, cannot get behind. You know what I mean? I'm a
For
consistency
sure.
gal.
Mm-hmm.
And I really can't even do Greek yogurt unless I have so much granola in said Greek yogurt. It defeats the purpose of
It's
even
now a
having it.
fat source and not a protein source.
It's now I'm dolloping Greek yogurt onto my granola. Like although as a substitute, I have been crumbling up a rice cake and putting it
So good.
in the Greek yogurt. And it's actually been like a good substitute for granola. Because like again, consistency person, the thick stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
I just,
Have you tried putting... See, this is us giving you guys so many ideas. Healthy does not have to be boring, okay? A rice cake and some Greek yogurt and then like a berry or a banana like on top, like layering it as if it was like an open face sandwich almost.
I've not tried that. But
Yeah.
that sounds like a nice little treat. Also, speaking of treats, I made myself a little sweet treat the other day. Again, tell me you're on a cut without telling me you're on a cut. Which this is a little calorie dense. I took 2 dates, I pitted them. I made the PB Fit peanut butter powder. I made it into peanut butter, put it inside the date, took 1 Ghirardelli dark chocolate square, melted it, drizzled it over top, put it in the freezer for 5 minutes.
Chef's kiss.
That was
Already
like the
know.
best thing I've ever had in my life. Like again, am I well? But it was so just delightful.
Yeah.
Truly.
No, I even enjoy that, and I'm not on a cut, so
Yeah.
okay. And something else I would like to say with the healthy living thing, especially the nutrition. You have to accept that not every meal needs to be a 5-star meal. You do not and cannot love every single meal that you're going to eat on to be healthy. Like, you just cannot. And something I get really frustrated over is people not partaking in these habits because, well, I don't like lean ground beef. Well, you better get to liking a damn heart attack. Like, I don't care. To an extent, I understand. Like, you don't like the texture of Greek yogurt. We can work with that. You can't dislike every healthy thing. At some point, you have to be willing to, like, not love everything and just tolerate it. You just do.
I think it's, it needs to be, it's the, you better get used to a heart attack for me. I'm still processing that.
I mean, for real people, heart disease is real.
Fair. Honestly, fair. And while I can acknowledge that food is such a joy for everyone, I mean, unless you don't have a sense of taste, that would suck. Never lost mine, by the way. But like, food is enjoyable, and I think it's meant to be enjoyable. I can acknowledge that, but to your point, I agree that, like, we have to understand why we consume food, and while it can be enjoyed, there's a time and a place. And I think also that, like, would you rather enjoy the fleeting moment of good tasting food with negative consequences thereafter? Or would you rather maybe it not be the best thing you've ever had in your life? Or maybe it just be like mid,
Yeah.
But you feel so good. You feel energized. You feel something long term that is going to last versus the fleeting moment of, a whole bag of Reese's. I'm
Yeah.
speaking from personal experience, like, there's never a time when I eat a whole bag of mini Reese's that afterwards I'm like, man, that was worth it.
Right.
So it's all about mindset. And you know what? We're not telling you guys how to think. Think however you will. But if your goal is to be healthy and to live a long life, there are just some things you're going to have to just suck it up, be a man, and rub some dirt in it.
And I think for me, number one, I truly do think you grow to like things that you at one point didn't
Absolutely.
love. You learn to spice it up. You learn to make it stuff that you do enjoy. And if not every meal is a 5-star meal, it makes you so much more excited to indulge occasionally in something that is
Amen.
not an everyday thing. So we're not here telling you that you still can't have both. You absolutely can, and you need to have both, as a matter of fact. But primarily, it needs to be healthier decisions.
Yeah. And I think,
but
like I said earlier about doing your best to obtain the knowledge of what healthy is, like finding that balance between carbs, fats, proteins, because and fiber, like we need all those things. Americans typically struggle with the carbs and fats, and when I say struggle, I mean they get too much, too many carbs, too many fats, because it's kind of pumped into a lot of the processed foods, and when I say processed, I mean foods that are, made in a factory with a bunch of crap in them that maybe isn't great long term.
education is power. Knowledge is power. And, I think just starting with being more intentional with your meals and yeah, just using that as a starting point. What is one meal that I can have intention behind this week? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Pick the
Yeah.
easiest one for you. If it's easiest for you to prep some lunches, start there. If it's easiest for you to just have some intention behind your dinners, choosing lean ground beef, and choosing veggies, start there. Small swaps make
Small
a really
changes.
big difference. Yeah.
And, here we are getting on a nutrition rant. It's kind of one of my favorite things, honestly. But, like kind of looking beyond nutrition, even though we do, like, I feel like that's a huge piece of it,
Yeah.
um, is the movement piece, and we're going to give you the same advice that we gave you for nutrition is to start small and kind of work your way up, habit stack. Um, I just now am at the point, again, we know that 10,000 steps is not the end all be all, but I'm just now to the point where I can actually consistently get 10,000 steps and it not be insanely ridiculous for me to try to do that. And
Hmm.
I've been doing this for a while, which I am on a 7-day streak. I'm really excited.
Slay. That's massive. I don't get 10,000 steps hardly ever. Like, unless I'm just really up and about. I'm going for like that 8.
Yeah. I did start out at 8. I was at 8 for a while and got consistent at 8. And then I was like, and then my husband was getting 10. So obviously I have to get 10 now.
Obviously, he cannot be better.
Obviously, he cannot get more steps than me because I am elite. So here we are. But with the movement, for me, I just have to like, there are days where I don't play volleyball and in that same day, I'm also not lifting weights. So how can I move my body in a way that I sweat a little bit, I get my heart rate up a little bit, and usually it's steps, sometimes it's running, like it's, and it doesn't have to start there, but I'm, being intentional, also planning ahead, like what days make sense in my schedule for me to do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. I think, again, intention is going to make or break. If there's no intention behind any of it, then you're doomed. um, I'm the same way. Like, I'll look at my week, on Sunday and think, okay, here's ideally the days that I go to the gym. And then at the beginning of the day, or, midway through the day, because nowadays I'm typically going in the evenings. Is that my most favorite thing? Absolutely not. People will be like, how do you go to the gym? And then you eat dinner so late. And then, like, I like to be in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock. Sister, me too. Me too. But that's not the reality. If I want to do what I need to do, that's just not always the reality. Um, but like looking in the middle of the day and checking in, like, where have my steps been? Am I going to go to the gym tonight? Am I going to have time to get on the treadmill for a little bit? Or am I going to get my lift in and, have to immediately leave in order to prevent staying up till almost midnight? It just takes
Right.
intention and it takes thought.
Yeah, I agree. Intention is everything. And the follow through, like I think we've talked about this a little bit before about how motivation is fleeting because it is. I saw a quote this week that said, being ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. So, like, if you haven't started incorporating things into your routine to improve your wellness journey, to improve your health, then you just haven't made the decision to. Like, there is never going to be a time for you to be ready. You either decide to be ready and do it, or you're going to be waiting forever.
Yeah. And you also make yourself ready. You set yourself up for success to be ready. And you just start. Like, you just start. Like,
Literally just do it.
yeah. Okay, Nike.
Okay, Maggie.
um,
Um,
that's so synced.
we are. Our weeks have been synced. We've been unwell all
Seriously.
week.
Seriously. And something else I always tell people that are starting from nothing. Number one, never forget something is better than nothing. If you're not getting outside in the middle of the workday and you're not going to the gym, start with a 5-minute break at work. 5 minutes
Yeah,
of
set a
just
timer.
taking some steps outside
Hmm.
or inside. I mean, it literally doesn't matter. Something is always going to be progress in the right direction, even if it's not your ideal version. You've got to meet yourself where you're at and start there.
Yeah. I mean, if it's 10 p.m. and You're at 9,400 steps, not 94,000.
Would be a lot.
9.4 thousand steps. You best believe I'm walking back and forth in my living room until I get the 10,000, because I'll be damned if my husband beats me. And also, it doesn't take that long, actually. And
Yeah.
my space is not very spacious, not very spacious. But if it's 10 p.m., I'm walking. I'm going to get these last little couple hundred and call it a night. And
Yeah.
that's something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just really starting with where you're at, look at your weekends. Maybe it doesn't make sense for you to try to create this new habit in the middle of the week or, throughout the work week. Start on the weekends. Your days are probably a little bit slower.
I will also say, if you think that you don't have time, let's go look at our screen time. You know what I mean? If your screen
My
time
only argument against this is, how much time do you spend on your phone? I'm just devil's advocate. How much time are we spending on our phone, like at work, like at the desk doing something else, but like on our phone? Or like, I know like moms, for example, or maybe some dads, if dads listen. Like,
there any of you out there?
yeah, hello, speaking into the abyss.
Anyone there?
Like school pickup lines and things like that, So I do think there are some caveats for looking at screen time.
Okay, fair.
But I will say, maybe we can look at the time of day and when our screen time is highest. If it's, from 6 to 9 p.m., maybe we could get off of our screen and, do a little at-home workout. Get some steps in while you're staring at your screen.
Agreed. Fair point.
When you're considering starting or adding something new, I think it's so important that you truly ask yourself, number one, how does this fit into the bigger picture of my life? Especially with the 1,000,005 trends out there, are you hopping on the trend because it's a trend or because it brings benefit to your life? Because if it's just because it's a trend and it's cutesy and quirky, maybe we shouldn't do it. Maybe we shouldn't add just another thing to our plate.
Mhm.
Next thing is, does this only fit into my life when life is not lifing? How can we fit it into our life when life lives? Such as this week, we still fit in our workouts. We still fit in our, prioritizing our nutrition. I even tried my best to prioritize my sleep, my water, those sorts of things. So like asking yourself, how am I going to make this work on the least ideal days? And we talked about this a lot, I feel like, in our January 1st episode or first week of January, beginning of season 2. When we're talking about creating habits that are, realistic, but making sure that you're not planning for a fantasy land, because fantasy land does not exist.
Right.
So when you're thinking, I want to start working out, okay, how many days can you work out? Not do you want to work out, how many days can you? It's a difference. And you've got to start with what you can do, and then we can maybe progress it up to what we want to do.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. Because Lord knows that almost every time as of recent, when I show up to the gym to weight train, don't really want to be there, Not really, not feeling it. But do I show up anyway? Yes. And that, I think, really sets apart those who succeed and those who don't. Because
Mhm.
it's like we all show up on our best days. Well, duh, things are
Duh.
going great. Like, why wouldn't I? But on days when like it's a shit show and life is lifing and I have a 58 sleep score and I didn't prep things are crazy. Do we still show up for those things? Because this kind of lifestyle, especially because we're doing things that every American does, right? We're doing the work, we're paying the bills, we're doing the things. But then we're adding on these things that are a little extra work. Like that life is not necessarily like that's not a sexy life, like we're not
Okay.
just like basking in the ambiance of it. So this lifestyle best described as consistent and disciplined. So, that's kind of my thoughts of can you be consistent and can you be disciplined? For a
Hmm.
lot of people, the answer is no, unfortunately. But we're here to tell you that you can and you should.
You can and you should. And as harsh as this is, and like the thing is we preach balance on every other episode. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not that this episode is about being a hard ass on yourself. It's about really being real with yourself and having the hard conversations on the hard days of, I don't want to go to the gym. And unfortunately, I don't have a choice. Sometimes we have to take away the choice. We get so caught up in, well, I just don't want to do it. I don't know.
Tough
Maybe
shit.
this was just my athlete upbringing. It doesn't freaking matter what you want to do. You're going to do it. You suffer through.
Right. And I'll also say when you make the decision to do better, to be better, to improve, to progress, to be healthier, you are making a commitment to yourself. So don't disregard that commitment. Like we make a ton of other different kinds of commitments to other people in our life. We make a commitment to our job to show up. We make a commitment to our landlord to pay like the rent, even though it should be free, whatever. Um, so like you're telling me that you're going to honor all these other commitments, but not honor the one that you made to yourself to do and be better. And I'm definitely not going to sit here and say that I've never forsaked a commitment that I've made to myself. Like there have been times when I've kind of slipped up, but it's not just, you know, well, I messed up. It's all over now. It's just like, okay, back on track, like back on track, back on track. Like I'm I'm cutting right now and that is consuming my thoughts a lot of times. Because it is not, I mean, it takes a lot of intention. And there are days where I'm over or I didn't do as well that day. I don't just crash and burn. All right, next day. Next day is a new day, you know? And it's only for a short time and then I can be happy again.
Yeah. And I think too, like you said, you made the commitment to yourself. So reflecting on like the days that you don't want to do it, like, get deep into the why of why you're doing this. And that's why we always say it has to run a little bit deeper than just aesthetics. Like, sure,
Yeah.
the body is going to be bodying, but sometimes that's not going to get me to do it.
Sorry.
And
When you
so,
said the body was bodying, I really set me to Megan Thee Stallion.
um, and something I think about often, Rachel, is I think about the week from hell that I had this week. What would that have looked like and felt like on my body and on my mental load if I didn't have a healthy lifestyle? If I was relying on Starbucks coffees to get me through the week and not sleeping well and not moving my body and just not prioritizing healthiness, like I would feel like shit. It only makes it worse, in my opinion. So that's another thing I feel like to think about is just the opposite. Like, especially if you're starting from nothing right now, like there's only up to go if you commit to these healthy habits. You only have more energy to be gained, better sleep, you name it. Actually, there's a million and five things, but those are the top two ones that I feel like would help quality of your days.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you don't know till you know, you know,
Yeah.
of how how beneficial it is to incorporate these things. Like I recently, like I said, I've recently kind of leveled up the game on myself of what I'm expecting from myself and what I'm committing to for myself. And for my body, for my temple, like I'm increasing my water, which is so annoying that I have to go pee all the time. So annoying. But being hydrated Oh my word. Like I went through a phase where I was doing really well and then I slacked off because, well, you know what? I can blame a lot of things. I want to blame the fact that I didn't feel like carrying around my half-gallon like thermos thing because it was so heavy. But really, come on. Although I did. We did get an Awala.
She did.
And
I
I
was
feel like
just
she
about to
has
say,
really
do we see that she has an Awala and not a
a
Poppy?
poppy. But don't worry, the poppies are still in rotation. Don't get it twisted.
Absolutely. Makes life worth living.
But right. But this thing, whether it's a mind trick, who knows, has been keeping your girl hydrated and being hydrated. I'm definitely not a snacky throughout the day. And this last menstrual phase, when I was luteal, I did not feel as luteal. Like I wasn't bloated at all. Like I didn't feel that I was retaining like excess water. And usually I really do. Like my rings are tighter. If I like go on a walk during that time, like my fingers will swell, which everyone's I think does a little bit, but like it was like a lot, like puffy. Like when
Yeah.
I would do this, I would be like, ugh, you know? Like my stomach it just bloated, puffy eyes. And ever since I've been getting my 90 to 110 ounces of water, wisp of air. Okay. I have felt
Crazy.
so great. So
And you
great.
don't know what you don't know until you know.
And I knew, but now I know more.
This is true. You knew you didn't have firsthand experience. Now you have firsthand experience.
That's
And
right.
that's something I feel like I say every other client is once you're on the train and you don't let a small slip up completely like throw off your mental game of it all and you just get back on, like you know the difference it makes you feel. And so it's easier to just say, yeah, I screwed up. It is what it is. I can't redo it. What I can do is
Right.
make the right decisions moving forward.
Yeah. Just move on. Quit dwelling. I'm a dweller. Okay. I'm a dwell queen. I dwell. I overthink. All the dwelling, you know? Call me a
Yeah.
dweller. But but I have had to almost train, although I can't do it in every aspect of my life. When it comes to like this stuff, like the food and the health choices, like the choices that I make each day, and like the movement piece and the volleyball piece, like I can just not dwell and move on, which has been great for me.
Yeah.
But additionally to the water, I'll say, I've also been getting more steps. It's where that's been making a difference in my journey and my goals. And again, like I've been aiming for 10,000 as of the last like couple weeks. That's not the end all be all number. Maybe it's 8 for you. Maybe it's 7. I think health benefits start at 7, right?
I think it's 6, honestly.
Even better.
Yeah.
But like I've been shooting for 10 and I've been getting 10 and I've almost felt like more clear-minded throughout the day, like going on my little walks. Now that Florida weather is acting appropriately, it's been giving.
Yeah. And I'll even say for us Kentuckians, I know that it's not fun to get outside when it's 30 degrees. I know. Trust. I know. And like you said, you're getting outside, you're getting fresh air, you're clearing your mind. And especially if you're doing it in the middle of the workday, like you're stepping away from work. And so, like, we are not meant to sit in front of a computer for 8 hours a day. We are not built for that. We are not made for that physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, none of it. Get it out. Step away. It will all, listen, I don't know
Run
where all
away
y'all
even.
work, what y'all do, but the world is not on fire because you can't respond to an email in 7 seconds, and probably no one's dying. And if they are, they probably need to call 911. So unless you're a 911 dispatcher, I'm sorry, take a deep breath and go outside, please.
And you heard it here first. You heard it here
And you
first.
did. And you know what, guys? I only say this because I had to constantly remind myself that every hour this week.
You know
So
what? Let's be honest. Act your wage. You know, act your wage. Because we be acting well above our wage. You know what I'm saying?
this is
And
so
by we, I
true.
mean y'all, because I be acting my wage. You know what I'm saying?
I do
Um,
believe in a work-life boundary, that's for sure.
amen. Amen. And, you know, I'm just going to toss in this little quote that I think is a little spicy, but honestly fair. You don't need a new workout program. You just need to stop quitting the one you're on.
Mhm. Say it again.
You don't need a new workout program. You need to stop quitting the one that you're on.
Amen.
So you like that there? Put people on the back. And also, you ready for another one? I have one more.
Trump it.
Your workouts aren't the problem. Your weekends are.
And you're doing how many times do we hear it, Rachel? I'm doing everything. I go to the gym Monday through Friday. I'm eating salads for lunch. Okay, you're going to the gym for an hour and you're eating your salad for lunch. What about every other hour of the day? Movement matters. So also let's start at like, what are you doing in the gym? You know, go back to our previous episode where we talk a lot about progressive overload and strength training. But what do your other 23 hours look like? What do your Saturday and Sundays look like? So many people get set in this like black and white. Monday through Friday, I'm on. Saturday and Sunday, because I was so honed in, I can't do that Saturday and Sunday. So I'm balls to the walls, 7 shots in at 11 a.m. I mean, that's kind of crazy. We're a little grown for that. But y'all get what I'm saying.
For some
Like,
of us.
we're going
Yeah.
out for dinner on Friday night and we're getting, 3 to 4 drinks. And then we're doing the same thing on Saturday. And then on Sunday, it's, oh, well, I did all that. I'll meal prep for the week, but I'm still going to eat what I want to eat today.
And honestly, let's be so for real. You can be on Monday through Friday, but in this country, with the way that we have food set up, you can definitely out eat all of that progress on a week. You can out eat all that progress in a day, like depending on how balls to the wall you're going. Like me and my husband basically, like, again, on a cut. It's a whole identity right now. You know, we were tracking, doing the things, and, you know, because we were tracking and seeing what was going on, we saw that, you know, we were going maybe a little too crazy on the weekends, because we do kind of splurge a little on the weekends, but a little was a little, not a little, not a, it was
Yeah.
a little too much, you know. And so we saw what was going on, we saw how it was affecting his or my progress, and we altered it and kept it moving.
Yeah.
So like, and we're very intentional. So someone who maybe is just like free for all on the weekends, it's definitely counteracting your progress during the week. And note on the 7 shots that you mentioned earlier, not saying I endorse that. Of course I don't. But I will note that it's possible to balance having your few little shots on maybe like a little happy hour, whatever's going on. I have maintained my cut well and definitely have been able to go out with some girlfriends and have a tequila soda lime. That's my drink of choice these days because the only excess liquid calories I have are in the tequila, and the soda lime, 0.
Yeah.
So I've been able to have a little funsies and
Yeah.
still see progress. So it's not like reaching your goals is going to mean misery.
Right.
It just means you have to be creative, you know?
And like, if you know you're going out with your girlfriends and you guys are going to grab some drinks, or if you know you're going out for an anniversary dinner and you're going to want to drink and, to splurge on an appetizer that's a little bit more heavy on the carbs and the fats, intention matters, right? Like, what can I do earlier in the day to maybe consume less carbs and less fats, front load my protein. That way I
Mhm.
don't have to worry about it so much later that night and I can truly just be and enjoy.
Enjoy.
And if I go over, I go over, but at least you did something to set yourself up for a little bit of success in the first half of
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah. And, or even earlier in the week, like
Yeah.
I know people, from a calorie deficit standpoint, like I know some programs and some people that have seen progress being a little more strict through the week so they can be a little more unstrict on the weekends. And while I think there are pros and cons to that, if that works for you and helps you reach your goals in a healthy, sustainable way for, time being until we're in a maintenance phase, like go for it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this episode is a little bit of a different tone than, what we normally put out. Like, we really do preach balance, and balance is only balance when you also have a little bit of the hardness on yourself, when you hold yourself, like you said, to that standard. Holding yourself to standards and having expectations of yourself truly from personal experience only builds up your self confidence and your self esteem when you stick to the commitments that you made for yourself and you say, I am going to get my steps in. I'm going to get my water. I'm going to get my whatever. I'm doing this for myself. It only builds your confidence when you show up for yourself, even on the worst days. Those are the days that I feel most proud of myself.
Absolutely. And I also think too, like when you find the people around you that are kind of like have similar goals, like I know for me, it's a big part of it is my husband. And like even you, Holly, like we chat about, some of the things that we're wanting to do or, these new foods or a new exercise, like whatever it is. Building that community of people that that have similar goals is huge too, because it's if you want to like complain, you got someone that gets it. Or if you need
Hmm.
someone to tell you to like get your head out of your ass and get it together, then you also have someone that can be like, let's gather it. Like let's gather it and let's keep it moving.
Yeah. Who you surround yourself with is so important. That age old quote of you are the sum of, your five closest people. Like as I've gotten older, I truly believe that. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm not going to say I don't understand why health and wellness is so hard for people. I truly do. And I'm, happy to meet people where they are. But
Yeah.
because it's my norm and because it's the people I surround myself with, their norm as well, and it's my social media algorithm, it it's almost like, oh, I have to take a step back and this isn't normal for everyone, right? And so, yeah, like you said, surround yourself with people who are interested in doing the same things as you and can help hold you accountable and maybe even say the things you don't want to hear.
Yeah. I mean, what is that quote that I truly agree with? It's like iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like lifting with you. I'm always like, oh, well, Rachel's going to lift that. I'm going to lift that.
bet. Yes. Yes.
Like, okay, if she can do it, not that you can't be stronger or I can't be stronger in certain things, but
Yeah.
like, you're going to challenge yourself when you see people around you also doing something.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's like my bread and butter. Like you're gonna do 15 backflips, even though I've never done them before. I'm gonna do it now. I will do it. I will do it too. Man. I do want to do a small tidbit of a super lazy meal that I had this week that I didn't have a prepped lunch. Um, wasn't gonna make lunch at home, obviously, and couldn't even because this week has been, you know, it's been a week. Um, and I was like, you know what? We're just gonna try to make it work. We're gonna try to make it work. Went to Chick-fil-A, yes, Chick-fil-A, and got you're gonna laugh at this. I got a 12 count grilled nugget and a 5 count grilled nugget, which is 17 nuggets. I
Mhm.
didn't get the 8 count to make it an even 20 because I felt like it would be too much, which now hindsight, I could have just got like the 12 and the 8, whatever. Then I got I was like thinking about like how hungry am I? Like I was really trying to think about it.
Yeah.
So 12 count nugget, 5 count nugget, which is 17 nuggets. And then I got a medium mac and cheese, which I haven't had in a while, and man, delish. Um, a great, very like macro friendly. It's like a big meal. Like that's a big meal for me.
Yeah.
I think it was like 600-ish calories, 700 calories. But it was a little fat heavy because of the mac and cheese. I'm okay with it. It was 24 carbs, 35 grams of fat, and 74 grams of protein. Can you even?
Dang.
74 grams of protein. And it was mighty delicious.
Yeah. And like that's like you feel like you're splurging and it still is meeting your goals.
Yes, because the mac and
Yeah.
cheese is a treat. Such
Yeah.
a treat. But it was like okay, to be fair, I had skipped breakfast that day. Don't judge. This was one of those days. And so by lunchtime, I was about like, I had all these things to do, like work, and then I had practice, and I was like, I need food now, or I'm gonna.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And it was very delicious, very filling. Obviously, the macros make sense. Again, it's a little fat heavy for like what my macro counts are, but it fit for the day. Say no more, you know?
Yeah. And that's why like macro tracking can be really beneficial. You can start to learn those things and learn like, okay, if I'm having this, then tonight for dinner, I'm not going to have a big fat source. I'm going to
Yeah.
skip out on the
Yeah.
fat source, you know?
hmm
Um,
And you remember those things. Like, there's going to come a time
yes.
where my ass is my fitness pal who? Never heard of her. You know what I mean? But I know that that's a go-to that like if I need a nutrient dense meal, it's gonna be a while before I eat. I
Yeah.
can go for that and know that it's, you know, macro friendly. I'm getting my protein, I'm getting my carb, getting my fat, and can be satisfied long term. And I had a lighter dinner that evening and didn't need a heavier dinner because I had
Yeah.
had such a big lunch.
I think overall, this episode, like I said before, we want you to know that balance does exist and grace needs to be had. And balance only exists when you can also do what you don't want to do and stick to the commitments that you made to yourself.
Agreed. And if you don't know what you need to do, find someone who knows and get some advice. Like, don't be too stubborn to get help if you need it.
Yeah. And, I hear almost every day, I know what I need to do. I'm not doing it. So maybe you don't know what you need to do or where you need to start. I think in theory, we all know we need to move our bodies and eat right. But what does that actually look like? That's where I think a lot of people get caught up. You know the
It
concept, but what's it look like in practicality?
can certainly be overwhelming. I mean, it's overwhelming for me and for my household. Like, and again, like we have years of experience. So like I can only imagine that it's even more so overwhelming for people that like just don't know where to start. And where you start might look different from where someone else is starting. Like that's kind of the not to say caveat again, but like that's the caveat. Like it might not be the same place. So
Yeah. And don't look to Rachel and I for inspiration on your day one when we're on day whatever
one
we're on.
million.
We're so deep in this and we've had so much trial and error. And yeah, like don't compare your day one to someone's day 100.
I'm always gonna hit home that consistency compounds. And so in order to be successful, you have to be consistent, the average needs to be what it needs to be. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. You're going to be running for a long time towards the finish line.
If you consistently can go 70 to 80% compared to 1 day a week, 2 days a week being 100%, go 80%.
Yeah. So tell us what you guys think is the hardest part of being, quote, healthy, because we know it's a relative term. What is the hardest part for you? Is it the movement? Is it the food? Is it the consistency? Let us know in the comments. And until next time.
Peace, love, and consistency.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Cut the BS with Holly and Rachel. If today gave you a dose of clarity, confidence, or even just a good laugh, we've done our job.
Don't forget, wellness isn't about doing more. It's about doing what actually works for you. So take what hit home, leave the rest, and keep showing up as your strongest, realest self.
Be sure to follow, rate, and share this episode with someone who's ready to cut the BS and live with more intention. Until next time.